Hi, I'm here with Jason Jensen, and he is answering the 10 questions. So let's get into it. Question one: what does it mean to you to live a life of creation?
I think it just means trying to see the world in a way that is just a little different than kind of just walking through it. I think a life of creation is just trying to see things the way an artist sees things, which is maybe finding the beauty in little moments or, finding the perfect little respite from the day that gives you a little bit of joy. And I think the life, you know, creating things is a life that probably is a work in progress all the time too. I don't think it's something that, you just say like, oh, this is what I do. I mean, it's something that you're always doing.
I mean, I think people who are creators, it's, we are creators because we can't help it.
Yeah.
It's like we are notoriously starting projects all the time, constantly coming up with new ideas, jumping into new hobbies,
Yeah.
going down the wormholes of YouTube, just trying to figure out some random, guitar pedal that you want to buy.
Right.
It's just, I think it's,
Yeah. Collecting things. I mean, I think, I get into these rabbit holes of just collecting things. And I
yeah.
think all artists are great collectors. And I think they're collectors of thoughts and ideas, but also collectors of things, right? And,
Oh, yeah. I am a big
and,
collector.
right. And I think it's that that's an impulse of kind of, the way that you're seeing the world a little bit, right? I hesitate to call myself an artist, but I do like to think that I have the artist's eye of seeing the world because that's been gifted to me by several creative people that I know.
Right.
Um, and I love collecting things. I'm a big fan of that.
Well, I mean, your line of work too is like, if you collect things, you can be like, I have the perfect, most random, unique thing because I just
Yes.
collect stuff.
You can't see the rest of the garage here, but that's if you could, that would be a great example of that.
Yeah. I get in trouble all the time from my wife about my collecting stuff. So I like
Yeah,
baseball cards, autograph balls,
yeah.
gemstones. I have a lot of guitars,
You
records.
can see it just over my right shoulder. Um, there's a painting leaning against the wall there, and behind that painting, and then up above it, um, on top of the shelf there, I have about 20 or 30 portraits that I've collected of people smoking. I love them, and I show them to people, and they just don't get it.
Do you have Van Gogh's skeleton smoking?
No, so it's only it's kind of I would hesitate to say it's like folk art, but it's like not good art. It's bad art.
Gotcha.
But they're all kind of beautiful for what each one is. I mean, it was painted. All of them are paintings. They were painted by someone,
Right.
and some of them are not very good. But then others, when you look at them long enough, I mean,
You
they're
see it.
great.
Yeah.
You see it. Yeah, they're fantastic. And you just go, I mean, who painted that? I mean, this is insane. This is so good.
Yeah.
Um, and I love the fact that, you know, we live in a world now where it's a little bit easier to own those things.
Right.
Um, you can go down those rabbit holes of collecting things and it's really fulfilling to me.
Yeah. Well, I actually did a video about collecting, and I think it's a huge part of, or a component of living a life of creation because, you fall in love with these objects, you you learn about them, you research them, you start joining communities that are in love with these things. So you're building
Right.
these connections and friendships and then you're also learning how to preserve, how to maintain, how to display them.
Yeah.
And it's like and ultimately it's a piece of history, whether it's
Yeah.
valuable or not in the future. Like some people collect things because they think it's going to be valuable. Um, Most oftentimes it's not, but
Right.
there's always the hope that one day your little stuffed animal collection is going to be worth millions. You know, but if you just collect it because you love it, none of that matters.
And that's how I um explain to people because I have friends that ask me all the time about um buying art for their house um and hanging art in their house. Because in another life I did um I was an art installer. Um and I tell people all the time, you know, buy the things that you like
Hmm.
because it doesn't there's nothing more boring. Like if you were to ask like, well, like what about this piece in my house? And it's, well, there's nothing more boring than someone just buying a piece of art because they feel like they need to put a piece of art up. Whether you like a piece of art or not, when you go to someone's house, doesn't matter if it the art that is up is showing their personality. And some people would say, well, what if it's just really bad? And it says, well, does that really matter
Right,
actually if it's just a reflection of who that person
right.
is?
Or if
I
they
mean, maybe
love
it's
it.
bad. Well, yeah, maybe it's bad to you, but you know, I mean, that bunny museum burned in the fire,
Hmm.
which is just, so sad because those people collected it all their life. And I didn't know what it was. And I looked at pictures of it, and everything in there was not very good art, but it was beloved by people because it was so personal to the people that created it, right? And
Right,
that's what made it interesting, and that's what made it good.
right,
Um, and so if you're going to collect things, and whether it's art or whether it's baseball cards or whether it's vintage basketballs, I mean, who knows? But if it's a reflection of who you are as a person, then that's all that matters,
right.
you know?
And ultimately, if you enjoy it and brings you some joy,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, but there's also the flip side of, being fiscally responsible and not spending all your money on things you can't afford. You know,
Yes.
but I
I
think
mean,
most collectors, are being somewhat responsible. But, but
yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely a part of that where with the advantage of credit cards, it's very easy to slide into the rabbit hole of just, oh, I'll just buy oh, look, another one of that thing's available. I'll buy that. And
right,
that's not exactly the best thing. Um,
no,
but being responsible, I mean, it's like, you have a lifetime to be a collector, right?
right,
So then you actually just start buying the things that you like, and you'll wait for the things that you like.
yeah,
I mean, whenever you go to like an artist's studio, like if they passed or something and they're like they preserved it, and it's just like the artist lived in it, right? I mean, it's full of stuff. Rarely, I mean, you go to like you see Don Judd's stuff in Marfa, right? And they're just like, oh, this is it. This is the studio. There's nothing in it. It's minimalism. And it's like, no, I mean, if you went to the workshop, it's filled with stuff.
right, yeah,
It's packed. But because his movement was minimalism, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're only showing the gallery stuff because that's how he wanted it displayed. But the life of him, I mean, no, he had tons of stuff.
right.
I mean, and then anytime an artist dies, they do some estate sale auction because they're like they had so much of this stuff that they just collected, for a lifetime,
Right.
helped inspire them, right? One of the most insane artist studio pictures you could ever see is, I think it's Francis Bacon. They have his studio preserved. Or if it's not preserved, it was preserved and they took extensive photos of it. And if you
Right.
ever just want to see, like, if you're familiar with Francis Bacon's artwork, he was like a very dark, he's an English painter. All his paintings are incredibly dark. He had a lot of trauma in his lifetime and, dealt with he had a lot of struggles. And his paintings there's a heavy undercurrent in them.
Right.
And then you see his studio and you go, well, of course he painted these paintings in there because it's just piled with like art supplies and trash and ashtrays overflowing and it's kind of gross. But then you go, of course, this is where he had to make these paintings because
Right.
he couldn't have made these paintings in some, white room with,
In the
drop cloths on the
in the
floors.
English garden.
No, this was not in plein air, like, out in the field.